What is going on, guys? And tonight we are back in the mix. We are doing part 2 here with Zach, Mr. Donkey on Tilt. Zach, go ahead and say hi one more time.
Hello.
All
Thank
right.
you for doing this review with me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. Again, like anyone who records up to an hour on Phenom, I'm more than happy to do a review with you. So if you send that to me, we can just run it back just like we're doing it right here with Zach. Basically, it's going to be a free lesson. And yeah, let's just jump right into the action here. So the last one we played was Dramadoogie, and now we're introduced to 7 Raz. And here we have split queens. This hand is just going to be thrown right into the muck. And looks like nothing different here. We get dealt the ace the next hand up. And I'm going to speed up just here a little bit. There we go. But this one's going to
No,
be...
I'm going to fold this one.
Actually, you know what? This one is kind of... I didn't even see this at first. This is kind of closer to defense because your opponent here has 100%. I actually think defending 9-4 is probably... What's the structure?
An 8-4, I would have.
Yeah, not. I mean, 9-4 honestly is probably really close against 100% range. I haven't studied this specific spot as much as I've studied the ace to 5 spot, but this is probably actually a defend more than I think about it. Now, if you're not comfortable defending these type of spots yet, then I actually think folding the 9-4 is probably okay. But I think in general, if you're playing against a person who's opening 100%, I think actually defending the 9-4 in the hole is probably correct. So if anything, it's probably a micro mistake. All right, well, this one's not a mistake. We're mucking this one.
Huh. Is that my second queen 10 queen?
Now you had queen 9 queen, I think the other one. Or queen 6 queen or something. Queen 3, I don't remember. It was something like that. But yeah, it was just...
Yeah, what a lovely round.
Well, sometimes, like, you don't get in trouble playing those.
True. This is another game that's very new to me, but I feel pretty... Like stud games, I feel pretty comfortable, except for the high-low regular. I still need a lot of work on that one.
Yeah, I mean, the best way to think about high-low regular in general is just kind of play it like ace to 5 Raz. I think that's the one that just kind of helped me out the most. Here with 7, 8, 10, again, easy fold with all these dead cards. If this was a pure, like if blue had brought it in with an ace and this is a pure steal more often than not, like 7, 8, 10 is kind of close, believe it or not. I would have to think. But yeah, obviously.
What would the 10 have to be?
I mean, the 10 can actually just be the 10. And it's probably playable against a person if a person is stealing close to 100% here, like saying, I don't know if you played a lot against him, but a person I play against a lot of on here, his name's Phenom Josh. And
Oh, yeah.
Phenom Josh loves his favorite game's Raz. The best game he probably plays is Raz, just because he like has a tendency to read situations pretty well. But in this situation here, he'd probably be opening like 93% of hands. I'm throwing out a number that's probably close to correct. And in a situation like that, 7, 8, 10 is probably doing actually fine against that range. Now, if your opponent here is raising like 50%, 7, 8, 10 is probably a little bit too rough, but it's still close. I'm going to admit that. It really depends on the ante structure of your game for the most part and how much is in there. But I would probably be playing, honestly, any 7, 8, 9 against anyone. Like obviously it's a straight draw, but there's a lot of cards that you can catch underneath it to break the straight draw. So now it depends like what the dead cards were, because if you see like a 4, a deuce, a 3, another deuce, and another 3, obviously this hand is like 7, 8, like 9 is not as playable, obviously, because you need to catch one of those to get rid of your straight draw. But in a situation, which is just a pure steal with like maybe all high cards, like I think 7, 8, 9 is probably 100% play. All right, another one. Again, you're not really getting into too much trouble in this one.
Nope.
And it looks like he might time out here. Okay, Badusi, sorry. Looked like he was going to time out.
Yeah, this game I go back and forth. Sometimes I feel good. Sometimes I feel like I'm the worst.
Badusi or
honestly, I think I'm better at Badusi than Badesi, but both of them I need work at.
Okay. Well, again, one of the tips that I just always tell people is like if you build it up from like the bottom, your hand, like, looking for those smooth like 3-card draws, you're not going to be in really like ever a bad situation.
All right. Yeah, and sometimes I follow your example and if I have like 7-5-3-2 or whatever, I'll pitch that 5. But sometimes I keep it. And that's I know that's
Well, I think a
like
rule of
extra 5.
I think a rule of thumb for me in the first. I mean, I think of just a rule of thumb for me in general is I'm almost never folding or wheel draw with a 7. So meaning like if I have a deuce and a 7 and I have some sort of wheel draw, I'm never breaking it. I'm always keeping the wheel draw. Um, there are probably maybe some situations like if I have a 2-3-5 and like a suited 7, I would consider doing it based on some action, but I don't even know if I would do it then, to be completely honest, because again, like your 3 card 5 has showdown value and it's on its own, and you can make a wheel with it too. So, but let's just jump into it and like see how we're doing here. So Owl raises cutoff, and you have okay, so you have 4-5-6 here. Um, let's see how this one plays out, because all right, so 4-5-6. Okay,
I think.
so I see that you have the 8 of spades deselected. In this situation of Medusi, you always want to be drawing to your smoothest Badugi. Um, Now, like in a deuce to 7 game in the situation, like usually we would just fold this hand, but 4-5-6 in itself is close. The fact that we're out of position here, the the fact that we got 3-bet, I'm gonna lean towards probably folding this combo, because if you think about what your good cards look like right now, it's the deuce of diamonds, the 3 of diamonds, the 7 of diamonds. And obviously, if you catch the deuce or 3 of diamonds, you kind of have the effective nuts, right? Like deuce of diamonds is kind of the effective nuts. The 3 of diamonds is really like nutty. 7 of diamonds, though, in this situation is not as nutty as it seems. And then you are kind of beholden to the straight draw. You're kind of like hoping to find a way to make this hand. So I actually think, given it goes raise and re-raise in front of you and you're out of position, I actually think folding 4-5-6. Yeah, 4-5-6 here is probably your fold. If you had 3-4-5, I'm never folding 3-4-5. If I have a 6 with a deuce in my hand, I'm never folding a 6 with my deuce. But I think this combo specifically is a fold, so this is a good fold. And now everyone knows my secrets. And you did get 4-bet behind too, so that's also good. And we'll let this one run out and see like what the range is and what the hands are. It goes call, and then it goes bet call, so it goes 1 pat. So again, this hand here is representing like a super strong Badugi, and this player has kind of patted. Now, when this player pats here, oh, hello. But when this player pats in this situation here, like usually it's just kind of a mediocre strength hand. This is usually a strong Badugi, and now when he pats, it's usually kind of like, I would say, a stronger. This player definitely has a range advantage. And here the player has 10-10. So my guess is that this player 3-bet the 10 Badugi pre-draw and got 4-bet, and then facing a 1-card draw. I think in this situation, if I was facing a 1-card draw, I would have ditched and drawn. I would have ditched and drew 3, because I don't think your 10 is going to hold up, and you could just be drawing almost dead in this situation too. So I'm not saying that I'd 3-bet draw. I'd 3-bet keep the 10-10 here, or 3-bet keep the 10 Badugi. I think it's probably a little bit too rough. But once I get 4-bet and my opponent draws 1, I think I'm just drawing 3. Oh, this is a nice one here. Okay. So it looks like we have a 6 Badugi. We almost have a 6 Badugi. Now, the way to check this is if your pair is the diamond, then you have a Badugi. But you don't have the pair of the diamonds here, so you don't have the Badugi. Yeah, if your pair is a diamond. So here with the 2-3-6, or 2-3-4, just 3-bet. Your 3-card in itself has enough showdown value. Again, if I had a wheel draw here, I would keep the 7, but I don't. I'm going to ditch the 6 as well, I believe. I think it's just a slight mistake here to keep the 6. I could be wrong. I could probably look this one up later, to be honest. But yeah, against your opponent here, like you're still betting no matter what you do here. No matter what you do here, like put it this way, I don't think you've made a mistake in this hand at this point. I think one decision might be slightly better than the other, but it's not a mistake. Plus, you have 2-3-4, which means you're still beating this person by a fair bit. So At this point, I think I just want to get off this straight draw, and I can catch an 8, a 7, another 6, a 5. I can catch something else too to like improve it. And then in a 2-1 spot again, we're still betting the 2, 3, 4. We're still have a ton of equity here with a 3-card 4 against your opponent. So again, I think the checking here in a 2-1 spot with 2, 3, 4 is a mistake. That I think is the mistake. And then he takes 2 again, and again, like it's one of those spots where the other thing too is if you bet here, he might have just folded. So if you just pick up the pot right there, it's a huge win for you. And then he checks, and then I would still honestly bet the 2, 3, 4, given at this point, because if your opponent checks a Badoogie back here, if he checks back like King King, I think it's a mistake on their part. The fact that you've kind of played your hand this way at this point usually represents you don't have a Badoogie. So, and he has King King and he's going to scoop you. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of
gross.
And not only that, he didn't bet an 8 Badoogie into you in the river, which is, again, something to take note of. So your check is probably actually better here on the river. I still would bet the 2, 3, 4, the 2, 3, 4 on the second draw. But on the river here, if he shows up with an 8 Badoogie and checks it to you, then yeah, you actually find a pretty good check here on the river then. All right. Again, now this is a hand that's against a little bit different. I actually think probably keeping the 4-card, keeping the 7 draw here is probably correct in a 4-handed game.
I'm sure that's what I did.
It doesn't. Yeah, you can break either one in this spot. It doesn't matter. Okay. I was freaking out there for a sec.
Yeah, we should play around so much with that.
Yeah, and again, you like generate fold equity here when your opponent's still taking 2 as well. So like, yeah, discard the queen. I would still bet here. Again, we're generating some fold equity and you know, like sometimes we still have the best hand. Yeah, and breaking the ace here by far is the best play. And we somehow catch the deuce.
Oh,
and
just
I think we like clearly fold this river now. You know, we do have a 3-card 7, but given the fact that our opponent just checked in a 2-1 spot with us with an 8 Badoogie, I think like it's a pretty clear fold at this point. So yeah, I think we fold. All right, now this is getting interesting.
One. Yeah.
Because you have a hand that obviously has your hand obviously has a fair amount of deuce value here, but has not that much Badoogie value. I'm not going to say 0 because it does have a 3-card 7. So sometimes on the rare instant, now this is a good hand I think to just raise pat. Like you don't even have to draw. You're out of position. You can just pat your hand. Your opponent posted. I don't think he limped. I think he posted. Is that what happened?
I think so.
Yeah, I think he posted. So if he posted in this situation, oh, okay, my bad here. So if he posted in this situation here, I would just pat the 8 and just like force him to make something. And the other thing too is if I'm going to draw, I'm going to draw 2 and break the 8 of hearts and the 5 of hearts as well. I'm going to keep the 3-card 7 out of position and draw at the Badoogie. But I think patting your hand is a little bit better. Good. Yeah, you did that. All right, and now you make well, you improve slightly both ways. Now you make a 7-4-2 and you make an 87 low, but this is just a hand you want to I think you just want to bet given the fact that this person limped and didn't raise. I think we just bet and pat.
Yeah, I didn't feel like I could break that effectively, obviously.
Yeah, the other thing too here is like the problem here with your hand too is your hand is vulnerable. Your hand is not. It's not like we have a 7 Badoogie here. If you had a 7 Badoogie in this situation, I would say like you have almost the pure nuts for the Badoogie side, and you're totally free rolling your opponent. But the problem here is when you break the 8, you're giving up a ton of the deuce equity. You might be giving up something like, because when this player takes 1, he might have like a Jack Badoogie and is just drawing dead to your low. So force him to call 2 bets with the Jack Badoogie or something like that. But when you break here and draw 1 at the wheel versus like I don't know, some bad low, you're giving him a lot. I mean, like, I don't even know what the equity theoretically is. It's just so much. Now, again, same kind of situation here. Like, with the 9-7 and the fact that you've seen, what is it, two eights now? Two eights of five, two eights and a five, is that right?
Yeah.
Two eights, a five. Yeah, this point I think we just have to keep the 9 because it's so unlikely like your opponent has you beat for the deuce hand now. I'm my guess is this hand is just a crappy two-way hand. It's gonna be like 10-10 or Jack-Jack. Yeah, it's exactly what it is. So, um, yeah, like I would have I think patted after the I would have patted pre-draw and like forced him to call me down with this hand because your hand is just so
Yeah.
nutted.
Seems like the better play.
Well, I mean, again, you're learning the game, and the other thing too is like, you took advantage of this lesson, and you're getting basically a free lesson here, and your play is going to improve because of it. Okay, 3 card 8 here, easy raise. This is good. All right. Best Badusi hand we played so far. I'm joking. All right, 2-3-8 here, another good hand on the button. I got no last in that comment, so I'm a little worried right now. All right, he 3-bet you. We call. Yeah, this is pretty standard.
Oh, it's an interesting one.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I actually think what we do here in this situation is most likely this opponent's going to bet into us, and when this opponent bets into us, I think we just call and we just break and draw 2 again. I think the problem with your exact hand here is one is it's so rough both ways, and I still think your draw is fine. Like excuse me, you still have a draw at an 8 Badugi, you still have a draw at an 8 low. I think the problem with the 10-10 here in this situation is you kind of just have to hold on and just pray. If you get 3-bet, I'm definitely breaking. Like theoretically, I might be folding here if I get 3-bet, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, like you kind of have a hand here with a 3-card 8. Now, I still think I'm probably calling 1 and drawing 2, but when we get 3-bet here, I actually think folding and calling and drawing 2 are your best plays. Okay, so you do draw 2. Yeah, and then we catch 2 aces and we're just done. But you definitely have an interesting one to consider, like just mucking right away, because like, yeah, you can still draw and make an 8, but this player's shown so much aggression and so much action in that scenario that and the other thing too is like, let's use the other hand as like an example before, so let's just go back briefly. Like this person limped. Well, not limped. This person posted, did not raise like a 10 Badugi, kept the 10 Badugi, and then, like kind of just played it passively. So the very next hand they played, that hand against you, like you're in, I mean, your hand is in like bad shape unless you make a 6 or 5 usually in that situation. They usually have like something like a 7 Badugi. All right. Limit Omaha High. This one, I believe, is going to be a placeholder for double board limit high when they get it. And they said they had to do.
So I like that game.
Yeah, and they said they had to do a table refactor to get it in here. So we'll see that one when it comes out, hopefully. King 10 3-4 here in the cutoff. That's a good fold and limit. Queen Jack 4 with the triple suit. I have to imagine this is probably still a fold. If you had like the king 4 of diamonds here, if this was double suited, it'd be a definite open. If you have the king 4 of diamonds here, it's probably really close to an open. But again, I think in general in like in this limit Omaha High game, the rundowns, like those type of hands go down in value just because like the high cards get, they just don't fold as often. Like you can't bet pot and get them off their hands. Like this is a great example of it. I don't know if this is an open under the gun, to be completely honest with you.
I'm not gonna lie, I did.
Well, I mean, if it, I think again, if it is, it's got to be a small mistake. It can't be that big. But again, like this is just such a PLO hand where, this hand runs into like a, runs into a hand that can just, like high hand is just, the high hands are sticky. I mean, you flop the absolute world in this situation, so might as well just keep firing that bet button and see what happens. All right, you got that one. Again, like I don't think it's such a huge mistake. It's just like one of those things where I think it's a small difference between like limit and PLO. Now let me ask you this. You say you play limit Omaha High, right?
Not really.
Okay. So I was wondering
If you're
if you played that game when you go to the casino. That's more like
no, I've played it on a different side. I played it, so I've only played it a little bit, but
okay.
I thought it was fun.
I guess the reason I'm asking is, if you have this hand under the gun, do you raise it in a double board game? And I don't know if the answer is yes. Because again, you want a hand that can like scoop both boards. And the problem is like with a hand like this with a single suited 9876, like a lot of times when you hit one board,
Yeah,
a lot of your outs are
the other
dead.
completely. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's actually one thing I've actually talked about with a couple people, and I haven't gotten a straight answer yet. With respect to limit, is because like pot limit's a little bit of a different monster because obviously you get to like bet the pot kind of thing. But in limit games, like your opponent should be super sticky because it's like basically a no qualifying split pot Omaha high game. Um, so those like high hands have a lot more like value and incentive to stick around. All right, Queen Nine Deuce Four. This is a hand we're gonna call a raise with, but any sort of like any sort of other action, we're just gonna fold. But in Limit Omaha High, like in Limit Omaha High, we're just so sticky. Honestly, this one's probably a fold given it goes raise, call, call. Because again, like these hands go way down in value when that type of action hits up. So I think folding here is probably fine. But if Meowza open here and then it goes fold fold, we just defend the Queen Deuce for it, like that one. It looks like we don't even get to see a showdown. All right. 10-8-8-4, my guess is this is just going to be a full 10-8 raise. Like there's a raise. Yeah, it looks like we just folded. Because had you made the flop, we would have seen that turn, and that turn would have been pretty good. That run out would have been glorious. Yeah, see like these ace king 10-7 like type hands, like these go up, I would have to think in value now because they're just so much stickier. Like they just can't get blown off their equity.
Right. Yeah.
Like the 9-8, like same thing here with the 9-8-7-3. My guess is if it folds to you on the button, you probably open this one, but it's just not going to be worth as much in like PLO or as a closed PLO. I think this is just a little old.
Yeah. Looking at it now, that but three is a little too dangly for me.
Yeah, and like this is also the problem, right? It's like a lot of the high hands there in the situation that would be opening now are dominating your draw, and we can't like necessarily fold for a min bet, but going forward now we can just fold. Now this is like, oh, it's tricky here. Okay, you're gonna go with the raise on the 10. All right, I don't dislike this one. I don't dislike it. Now definitely gotta. Now once we get there, we definitely gotta go for it. We got 9 high. Oh wow, he got super sticky.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Well, because like a lot of the combos there you consider flatting, I think actually do have 10s. I think um I also think too that I can I can hear in the background over there. I don't know if you want to mute yourself or not.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. Um his combo is like somewhat interesting too, just from like a limit perspective, because the queens actually block a lot of the combos that you want to call with like 10-10. So he gets really sticky here. This is kind of interesting that he made that call down with queens. I might have just folded once I got raised on the turn.
I thought it was a decent spot for me to try it, but I figured if I'm going to play a hand that's not that good pre-flop, I have to try and win sometimes when I don't hit.
Well, I think it's kind of like a mixed bag, right? Like first one is like you don't necessarily have the best blockers in your hand to do it. But at the same time too, you have 9 high, so you can't win at showdown. And usually there, if you can't really continue on tune. I feel like you just gonna have to fold your hand. But hey, you went for it, and I mean, he had like a really, really weak hand in that situation to kind of stick around with. So, all right, draw Omaha High, best 5-card high hand, best Omaha on the board. All right, looks like we're gonna open the king. It looks like it. Yeah. All right, let's go here. All right, you get dealt kings. This is a pretty standard open. It's nice that you have an ace blocker here too, just because obviously you block your opponents from having aces. This one just gets through and you win. Same thing here. King is still going to be an open, definitely with an ace in your hand. Blue calls, and I don't love the fact that blue calls because I think I don't know, playing with blue a lot. Her range is a lot stronger than what I would perceive here. Interesting board. I mean, I think we just, yeah, it's 5 ways. We just check and draw, and I don't think we ever keep the ace five in this situation. I think we just take three. I mean, the five is kind of tempting just because you can catch like a six or like a deuce or something like that, but it's a little bit tempting, I would say, to keep the five. I'm just trying to think. Like, obviously, if we have king, king, five, six here, we're keeping the king, king, five, six, I believe. Um, I think this is close. This is close, I think, too, because the five is a heart. You have backdoor hearts, I guess, but I don't know. I think throwing away three here is probably just as fine. It's like the other thing too is like I just want to make the best hand that I possibly can in this situation to get myself the hand to, like, obviously free roll one side of the pot.
Yeah.
So it goes, so it goes, so it goes two. Oh, that's a nice turn card. 2, 3, 3, pat. What in the world is that pat hand? And she also takes three.
Oh no.
Yeah, so definitely if check two here, we go ahead and bet. And the reason why we go ahead and bet is we want to put these other hands that are actually like beating you in a tough spot. This doesn't have to be anything. This could just be like, I have a massive draw. I mean, even if somehow this player's played a straight this way, you have top set and nut flush draw. So I think we bet. Yeah, I think betting here is good. And now blue's kind of stuck. And yeah, obviously bet river. I just don't have any idea. I mean, I wonder if he's playing the right game or wrong game. Jack, Jack, 9, 6 deuce. Okay, yeah, and I think this is a mistake that a lot of players make when they first start playing the game. Is like they basically, the problem here with like keeping the 9 is the problem here with keeping the 9 is like you already have jacks. You already have an overpair to the board. You want to like catch something that like gives your hand the opportunity to like.
Yeah, I know not to keep that 9 there. I mean, it's when you're just trying to hit trips, but like you said, you already have jacks.
Yeah, and obviously, I think like too, if he had like Jack, Jack, 5, 6, he could keep the 5, 6 on this board because he's open ended. I think that's probably okay. But you just leave yourself so open to getting scooped, like your hand. Like he draws dead against your hand in the situation, and there's a good chance like one of these other players behind you could have just easily folded, like two bad pair. I think it's possible when the opponent bet, like stays pat there. So I think you play that one good. All right, 7, 8, 9, 10 in the big blind here. This is one in the big blind we will defend draw one at. Not to mention the 7, 8, 9, 10 also has like some decent flop equity high, or like some flop equity. You could consider like turning your hand pre-flop into a bluff because you're going to draw one. I think that'd probably be okay too, to like raise and then draw one with the 10 because like you have no showdown value with 10 high at this point. Obviously we flop a flush. Yeah, okay, you take that one down.
I've been when I first started the drama, I would draw to straights and flushes and whatnot, but I've stopped doing that, and that's definitely improved my results.
Yeah, they're definite trap hands early on. I mean, it's great when you make them in like a multi-way big pot, but if you're just heads up, I mean, like one pair is going to scoop you so often. And there are some of those draws, like obviously like royal flush draws, where you can make some big pairs that make some sense, but the majority of them, like you don't want to be drawing at like the 10, 8, 6 deuce flush draw that doesn't even like do any sort of like anything really well in that situation. Yeah, here I fold like the ace 10 9. I have no idea with like what respect your equity actually is here, but it can't be good against like any pair. All right, well we got kings a lot this orbit. Now, this is kind of a tricky spot, and the reason being is because we have a queen in our hand, so it reduces some of the combos, and we unblock an ace. So I think the kings are still playable, but they're not as great. Well, they're super good. You should play this hand every time, especially if you know you're going to flop just like this. But just in reality, like I think a lot of times you run into like aces a fair bit, but I still think we're still playing the king. So I don't mind the 3, but it's just more of like keep note like of what your side cards are when you have like these type of hands. Yeah, and Yeah, drawing 3 here seems totally fine. It's good, obviously, you catch the ace in this spot, so. Yeah, this seems totally good. And he looks like he had jacks and made 3 jacks. So, yeah, everything kind of checks out there.
It's brutal to have to chop.
Well, I mean, didn't come Jack Jack. Everyone will get their money back then. So you're always drawing live at the misdeal. That's what you always got to tell yourself. All right. Stud 8 or better here. Let's see here. The 5 clubs is going to bring it in. You have 2, 3, 5. You could do some limping here. You could do some raising. I think the default for most players of these limits is to raise. Obviously, you catch good, they catch bad. And a lot of times it's going to go bet fold. Right, checks queens, easy bet. Now, here's an inch. Now it gets a little bit. I was going to say, depending on what if you caught a 3 here and you caught a brick, I don't think we just barrel off our low because we have no straight draw and he could theoretically have a straight draw. And if he's got 2 pair, he's never folding anyway, so we can't beat that hand. But now that we have a pair, I definitely think when check 2 here, we should be betting because we can make 2 pair and technically still scoop this hand. And if he makes 2 pair, then he obviously can't have a low. So, he still could like river a miracle here, but you block a lot of the cards that he needs anyway, so I still would go for a bet. And then on the river, if he checks to you, I'm definitely going for value bet with 2 pair and a low. Yeah, everything kind of checks out, and he did river a better low, so lucky we made that 2 pair.
Yeah,
that would have been
almost
brutal.
scooped. Right.
All right, king 4, 5, good fold here. Let's see if we can fast forward a little bit. All right. Buried 9s with a 7 up. This is again like one of those hands where you can consider like limping. Where's the bring in the 4? 4 is going to bring it in. And then, okay. So this is definitely one of the spots I'm gonna find a way to play this hand. I think you could go for an open. You could go for a limp. I don't think we're just folding the 9s. Looking at the dead cards here in this situation, like a lot of your straight cards are dead, but I still think we're gonna probably play the 9s. It is like the highest pair on the board too. So I think like you can, if you're a little bit timid in this spot, you can go ahead and limp it. But I also, like raising here isn't the worst thing in the world with your 7 up. Now, if you had a 9 up, it would be a lot different. But I still think we're finding a way to play this hand. Interesting. Oh, we didn't get to see that one out. What would they have? Blue had 8s and Mango had 7s with the low. They chopped it. Not trying to be results oriented. I'm just kind of curious. Yeah, this one here is a clear fold. Oh, all right. See, we got another one here. Deuce 4, 5. All right, quick check of the dead cards. There's 3 you need, but besides that, this is just kind of like a clear open in my mind. Again, like mixing limps is not, don't really have to worry about that at this level yet, I would say. Like you can totally limp if you want to, and like do some trapping, but I think like, okay, now, yeah, this is good to know. This is a nice Raz Daisy hand, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he raises you, you call, great, let's go. All right, you catch Jin, he bricks, like nothing to do, easy bet. Catch a king, he catches an ace. This is a little bit tricky now. And the reason I say that is because he's basically represented 2 things here. He's basically represented he has some sort of high hand, like aces in the hole, rolled up 3s, or a strong draw that just made aces, or a very strong draw that's similar to yours. And he does have one of your cards that you technically need. So I actually think we check in this situation because I believe his range is stronger than yours. Like you did raise an early position, so you shouldn't have like too many bricks, but you could have like, like a 7 low draw, maybe even 8 low draw. And he's basically saying here, like, I have the superior range. And given this action here, I think his range is superior to yours. So I would go ahead and check. And I think this check is good. Interesting that he decided to check the ace back because I think like whatever he has in this situation, he should probably never check this ace back, given the fact that he 3 or 2 bet you pre-flop. Now it's close on the turn. Now it's like really close here to value. I think we actually value bet ace king high. I think we value bet ace king high with a wheel draw redraw. Like it's like, okay, well, we kind of bricked here. Well, you did, but he just gave away a lot of information by checking Fifth Street. So I think we actually go for a value bet here with ace king high and a wheel redraw. I like this a lot. And you just catch the famous king jack 10.
Yeah.
Wow. I think the only question here is, do we turn our hand into a bluff? Given the fact of like, given just what he did, because let me see this. Let's see. I'm gonna run this through my head real quick, because if he makes any low, he's gonna call. If he makes a good low, he's probably gonna raise. And if he makes a pair, he's probably gonna call. Oh, I probably like checking this hand and just calling with ace king high, unfortunately. And then sometimes here he just checks back like a weak pair and he wins. But I don't know if he's gonna fold a weak pair, so let's just let this one run out real fast. And he does, yeah. I think he's gonna call you with the ace. But I mean, you make a nice bet there on 6th Street. But yeah, I still think he's gonna call you with 5s just in case you make a low. So, all right, let's see if there's any others in here. The Daisy ace. So, okay, I actually think so you're blue sitting out here. I actually think this is probably gonna be an open with the blockers. Yeah, I like this open. You can even still throw away the 8 for what it's worth. I still think throwing the 8 is probably correct. But
I think I did. I don't remember.
choose one. Oh, close one. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, close one. Does call. Yeah, I actually think drawing 3 here is correct. And that's not a good draw.
Worst draw.
Yeah, yeah. You do make king king. Oh wow, this is you do make another 3-card 8. Yeah, I guess we just give up at this point. Like, it's one of those spots where we had enough blockers to open, but we just don't have enough equity here to call, I think. Given, and the pot's small too. We check the first draw, so I would just go ahead and give up and kind of be sad about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the fold's good. But yeah, that looks like that's the video, sir. I appreciate you sending it in, and appreciate you doing this again, because obviously the first one we did, it was first one was an error, but yeah, you got 2 free lessons out of it, so
That's all right. I think this one had some better spots.
any sort of feedback, comment, anything you can say for the viewers, or
Go play on Phenom. It's a great site. Customer service is responsive. You're playing against real people, not bots like kind of other sites that will not be named. I think it's a great spot to learn how to play mix.
well, Zach, I appreciate your time, and good luck. Keep studying, keep playing. Obviously, it gives you a nice little advantage that you can play, super small games, and yeah, just keep it up, man.
Appreciate it. Thank
And then
you.
for everyone else listening and watching, good luck at the tables. I will talk to you guys soon. Play well. Bye bye.